This is from a story about two astronauts on Mars in 2056. They had just set foot on this land, their feet barely leaving the spacecraft's hatch, when they saw a group of strange-looking things. Those things suddenly turned their heads and stared directly at them. Stunned, the girl blurted out, "What's wrong with your eyes?" Suddenly, those things slowly crept towards them. The young man, thinking they were friendly, was about to go up and greet them when suddenly, he realized these were the terrifying monsters of Mars. A few years ago, to explore Mars, humans released many cockroach eggs onto the Martian surface. Cockroaches are among the most resilient creatures on Earth. If even cockroaches can survive, then humanity can finally set foot on Mars. These cockroaches, however, all transformed into monsters. They were not only incredibly fast but also possessed extraordinary abilities. The humans, completely unaware of their power, could only hide in their spaceship and discuss their next move. But just as they were pondering their next step, just as they were wondering what to do, another cockroach stealthily crept over. Under normal circumstances, a single cockroach body could easily wipe out the entire group of astronauts. They had prepared thoroughly before the astronauts arrived. Each carried a mutation drug that could boost their physical abilities several times over. But in this critical moment, one young man made the decision to sacrifice himself. He forcefully injected the drug. His entire body cells immediately began to mutate wildly. Several thin intestines even sprouted from his forehead. Seeing this, Xiao Qiong slowly walked over. The young man instantly engaged Xiao Qiong in combat. Although Xiao Qiong's movements were swift, with the mutation drug's enhancement, the young man's rapid punches quickly stunned Xiao Qiong. Humanity had finally gained a short life, but don't be too happy. This Xiao Qiong was indestructible. He quickly stood up and delivered a ruthless attack. As a result, everyone on the spaceship stared in disbelief. Then, a dense swarm of cockroaches surged forward, smashing through the glass hatch and preparing to wreak havoc. The captain, now without any other option, injected himself with an even larger dose of the mutant drug, transforming himself into a powerful mutant. His strength skyrocketed, and he instantly killed the first cockroach. But even more cockroaches continued to surge forth. Upon entering, the captain was left to defend this area alone, while the others frantically shifted positions. There were simply too many cockroaches on Mars. They had just escaped from the spaceship when they were struck by thousands upon thousands of them. Countless cockroaches slammed violently into the armored vehicle. Fortunately, the vehicle's glass was sturdy enough, and they managed to break through the first wave of cockroaches. But a second wave of attacks immediately followed. This time, all the female astronauts inside the armored vehicle. Panic gripped them. This swarm of cockroaches was even more ferocious than the last. If they continued like this, the armored vehicles definitely wouldn't hold up. The second wave of attacks hit. The two female astronauts couldn't sit still any longer. They made up their minds to sacrifice themselves to protect their comrades. They injected mutation agents into their necks. Under the effects of the agents, the two transformed into armored warriors. One was a red-haired girl, whom everyone called Little Red. The other was a green-haired girl, whom everyone called Little Green. The cockroaches swarmed everywhere. As the attack came, they pulled out their shields and stood firmly in front of the armored vehicle. As the armored vehicle broke through the cockroach nest, agonizing screams echoed from outside. The armored vehicle finally. This spaceship was left behind when they landed on Mars several years ago. Its various facilities were old and dilapidated, but fortunately, it could still be started normally. Now they were counting on this spaceship to escape Mars. The astronauts quickly turned on the computer to check and found that repairing the spaceship would take at least an hour. During this time, no one could enter to disturb the repair process. But just then, suddenly, fierce fighting sounds came from outside. The captain quickly. He ran outside to check the situation and saw that the two team members guarding the door were already dead. Not far away, several cockroaches were slowly approaching them. What was most terrifying this time was that those cockroaches were actually carrying guns. The team leader then realized that these cockroaches had evolved to be almost as intelligent as humans, or even more so. Now he had become the strongest fighter in the team. The cockroach immediately raised its gun and opened fire wildly at him. The team leader dodged easily. All the bullets were fired, and then the captain leaped up, wielding his bayonet and instantly killing several cockroaches. The remaining two, seeing their captain's bravery, decisively injected themselves with the mutation drug. They became the last wave of mutated warriors guarding the spaceship. The first wave of cockroaches was quickly wiped out, but then a second wave swarmed in, this time numbering in the tens of thousands. All the cockroaches surrounded the spaceship. The human injected himself with the mutation drug again, facing the dense swarm of cockroaches in the final battle. Countless cockroaches roared and pounced, quickly dispelling the first fierce attack. Seeing the human strength, the cockroach leader immediately charged in himself. This leader cockroach was indeed different from the others, but faced with humanity's overwhelming technological power, he gradually lost ground. The two became the strongest warriors on the battlefield, utterly helpless against the weaker enemies. However, even with their formidable strength, they gradually felt their stamina waning in the face of the enemy's overwhelming numbers. To become even stronger, one of the team members injected himself with countless potions. Suddenly, wings sprouted from his back, and he soared into the sky. No one knew what had happened after injecting so many potions. What would humanity become? The captain witnessed it firsthand. He transformed into an angel draped in feathers, hovering in mid-air. He showered countless powdery bombs from the sky, which exploded among the cockroaches. Ultimately, he chose to perish with the cockroaches, blasting himself and all the monsters to ashes. The cockroach army was wiped out. In the end, only the captain survived. Only the captain knew the full story of what had happened on Mars. The truth was revealed. He walked briskly towards the spaceship he had been on. Inside, it was a scene of utter devastation. Dead and wounded lay everywhere. In a cramped cockpit, he slowly ignited the rocket's launch system. A small escape pod slowly rose into the sky. The captain, carrying the secrets of Mars, flew towards Earth. Years later, would humans mistake these cockroaches for alien creatures? What terrifying forms would they continue to mutate into? Okay, the movie end. Here everyone is welcome to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification for more movie like this.